Hi, friends. Today we're going to be going over Chapter 1 of Salt, Sugar, Fat by Michael Moss. This book really is an eye-opener to what's going on in the food industry and how they've been studying us for years to help us get addicted and crave their food. So we'll just keep eating them. And chapter 1 is actually about exploiting the biology of a child. And we're going to be discussing that. This is a live video. So please put in the comments if you have read chapter 1, your thoughts of that chapter. And if you've not read this book yet and some of the things we're discussing you have an opinion about, I'd love to hear your opinions too, as well as sharing any wins you have had this week. And if you can hear me, please let me know in the comments. Usually my husband is here with me and he is my tech support. And for some reason, I have an external camera that I add to the computer that has a much better picture and it's much brighter. If you can see behind me there, I do have every light on in the house, and it's 1 PM in Arizona. I should be a lot brighter on the screen, but I have to use the camera right now that came with the computer, and it's just not as light and bright as my external camera that I can't get to work right now. So anyway, I apologize for being a couple minutes late trying to get that figured out. But at least I see that Tony's in the house, and she says that she can see and hear me. So that's great. So thank you so much for letting me know that, Tony. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts about chapter 1. Chapter 1 starts off, I'm going to tell you a few things that I thought were really, wow, eye-popping out of this chapter. And then I want to hear some of your thoughts too, as some of the things that you thought about this chapter as well. And I can tell you, it really is no wonder that a bunch of us have battled obesity, because a lot of things that the food industry has done has been since the 1960s. And it's just grown from there. So we kind of grew up with a lot of this stuff. And it has been, it makes it very difficult for us. So anyway, at the very beginning, it talks about which I see that Tony also found interesting. They talked about your taste buds on your tongue. We grew up, if you went to school in the 70s, like I did, the 70s and 80s, growing up, we were taught that your taste buds, you have different taste buds on your tongue, and different areas of your tongue will do bitter or salty, and at the very tip of your tongue is where you taste most of your sweets and where you can taste sweets. Well, according to this book, no, you have sweet receptors all over your mouth, even on your palate, up high on the roof of your mouth, all through your mouth, all the way down your esophagus. You are tasting sweet, and you have sweet receptors that signal to the brain, you got sugar, yay. So you've got sweet receptors everywhere. And that babies, when they're about 4 months old, they like and respond to salt in food. But babies since birth respond to sweetness. And so we are born innately loving things that are sweet. I can tell you, last weekend, I got to babysit my grandson, and he is going to turn 1 at the end of this month. Actually, it's going to be kind of a quick meeting today, because his excuse me, his 1-year-old birthday parties today that we're going to be celebrating, and my husband's out buying ice. There's a lot of ice that he can't find at stores because it's Memorial Day weekend, and a lot of people get together with family on Memorial Day. And so ice is really scarce in Arizona right now. So my husband's going from store to store to store to try to find ice. But anyway, where was I going with that? I'm sorry. I don't know. It's been a weird day for me. I'm just gonna share that. It's been a weird day. One more a quick confession here. I tried something last night that I've not eaten before. We went to Costco and I got a sample, and it was Korean barbecue jerky. And it was so delicious. And I turned around and I looked at the nutritional label, and the nutritional label said that 1 ounce of it is only 90 calories and 7 grams of protein. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. This would be a fun snack because it has some protein in there, and only 90 calories an ounce. I could work this into my diet plan. That'd be fine. Well, I have been on a Mounjaro journey where I have taken a Mounjaro shot. I currently take the 12.5 milligram shot of Mounjaro. It's a type 2 diabetes medication, and it also can be sold with the name brand Zepbound, same company that makes Mounjaro and Zepbound. But if you get it as Zepbound, it's to battle obesity. And it's really, really helpful. And it's the exact same medication that those of us with type 2 diabetes take. So anyway, I do take Mounjaro. And one of the things that Mounjaro helps me with is it keeps me generally wanting to eat healthier foods, because if I eat foods that are too calorie dense, I can get what I call a Mounjaro spanking, and I'll wake up in the middle of the night and it'll give me vomiting and diarrhea. Now I've taken 71 shots of this, 71 weeks, so over a year. That's only happened to me 3 times because I've learned my lesson. And I think, oh, I don't want to do that again. And so I try to not eat things that are too calorie dense, or if I do, I eat a very small amount of it. And most of the food that I'm eating are healthy, nutritious foods. Well, I thought this wouldn't be too bad because it 90 calories an ounce, and 9 grams or 7 grams of protein. I thought, well, this will be a fun little thing that I can add to my eating repertoire. And different people who take Mounjaro do different things to try to lose weight. And for me, calorie count has been helpful for me. And so I was thinking 90 calories, not bad. Well, I had a lot of things to do, rushing around to get ready for my grandson's 1-year birthday party. And one thing is I was going to go and get my hair done, and I didn't have enough time to eat dinner before going. And I thought, well, that's okay. I'll eat a dinner's worth of calories of this jerky because it's something I could eat in the car, and head out to get my hair done. And so I ate about 500 calories worth of this jerky. And I will tell you what, it really sat on my stomach. It had a lot of high sugar and salt in it, even though the calories weren't that bad. And it wasn't really high in fat, but it was high in sugar and salt. And I woke up in the middle of the night with some diarrhea, and it hasn't totally gone away yet. So if I disappear for a minute, I'm really sorry, but anyway, I'm a little off my game. So I apologize in advance for that. Well, last week when I was babysitting my grandson, I gave him, I have little cups, little plastic cups that are portion sized of applesauce that has no sugar in it. It is just crushed apples. When I was giving that to my grandson, he was so cute. His little legs were just flying with he just was kicking his legs while eating it, and full bliss on his face. He loved, loved, loved that applesauce. Where when I give him other things to eat, he'll like, take it or leave it. He had a little bit of a meatball because he's now almost a year, so he can try regular food, and he didn't have a lot of interest in some of the other foods I was giving him, but boy, when I gave him that applesauce, it just, you could see it light up all of his natural sugar receptors on his palate, and he just thought that was the best thing. He was so excited and loved, loved, loved the applesauce. Well, as kids, we are just wired that way. That's our sweet sensors. Also, our sweet sensors, we prefer the more sweet, the better. And they talked about this in chapter 1 as well, that they have done a whole bunch of studies with little kids. I mean, little kids, even 3-year-olds, with little kids as well as adults. And son of a gun, kids prefer things even sweeter than we do, and their sugar sensors, they want the more sugar the better. And I was thinking about this. As an adult, I like candy, and I've liked candy, but I'm more sophisticated in my candy choices, more like chocolate bars and things. But when I was a kid, I remember there was 2 kinds of candies that I had grown up with that was just pure sugar. One of them, it was called a pixie stick. And it was a big, long plastic straw that was sealed at both ends. And it was very, very long. And inside was just colored sugar. And there was different flavors. You get like a grape, where they have like a artificial grape flavor. But it was grape flavored pure sugar. I mean, just pure sugar. And we would have to get a scissors and cut the tip of the straw off, and then we would just hold it up, and we would just let that sugar come out of the straw straight on our tongue and eat it. And it had artificial colors too. So if you did the grape one, your tongue would turn purple. And now, I don't want a pixie stick. That'd be too sweet. That's 100% sugar. Another thing we had was something called, I think it was called Lick-a-Lots. And it had like a little stick that was made out of sugar, and it was white. And you would suck on it, and then it had a little packet, and you'd open up this little packet, and the packet had the stuff that was in the pixie sticks. So it had flavored sugar that you would dip your Lick-a-Lot in, and then to help scoop it out, and then you would scoop it into your mouth, and then when you were all done, you would finish. You could chew the white stick that went with it. Well, I haven't had one of those since I was a kid, because I wouldn't want that now. Oh, it would just be too sweet. It was just like crazy sugar. But that was some of the candy that I ate in the 70s, growing up, and thought it was great. Well, there is a special place that they talk about in this book that does a lot. They have scientists there, and those scientists are paid by both grants from the United States government, and they were paid by Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola, Kraft, General Mills. A lot of big food companies would give them a bunch of money too. And they research how to find the bliss point of certain foods to see what's the exact amount of sugar and salt and fat to make the food that they're making the most craveable, and to make it so while you're eating it, you won't want to stop. And they do that. I did not know that they tested with kids, like real kids. They had real kids that were young that they tested. They talk about that in chapter 1, where they have kids as young as 3 years old who they're not real verbal at that point. So what they do instead is they use stuffed animals. And they had a stuffed Big Bird from Sesame Street and a stuffed Oscar the Grouch, who likes to live in a trash can, from Sesame Street. And they would tell the kids, they would give them, one of the examples they gave was pudding. And they had one girl that they used very frequently, and she was only 6 years old. And she was a pro at doing these research things. And they sat her down in a room and they wanted her to test pudding. And so, and because they want to get the right, find the bliss point of the right amount of sugar in the pudding to see how much sugar they should be putting in pudding to sell to kids. And what they told her is, what we want you to do is taste, and they would do 2 flavors at a time. Well, it was vanilla pudding, but with different amounts of sugar in each vanilla pudding, to taste each of those 2 puddings. And whichever pudding they think tastes the best, they should give that to the Big Bird, because Big Bird really likes the food that tastes the very, very best. And so the little girl would taste each one, and then the one she thought was the best, she could give to Big Bird. But she's done this for so much that she doesn't even need to give it to Big Bird. She just points and say, this one's the best one, and then they do 2 more. They had 20 different varieties of vanilla pudding with 20 different formulations of sugar in it to find that one that'd be the very best. And they, and finding that special bliss point where it's not too sweet, and it's definitely sweet enough, and not too salty, but salty enough, not too fatty, but fatty enough. Finding that exact point where you're going to want to just eat and not stop. And they do this with kids to find out the best formulations that would be the most addicting. I found that surprising. I didn't realize they did that. What else did I find surprising? Another study that was at the very beginning of this chapter was with rats. And one researcher needed some fat rats. And he didn't have fat rats. So he thought, well, I got to get these rats fat, because he wanted to do some kind of study on obese mice or obese rats. And he had, normally what he feeds the rats are Purina dog chow is what they were feeding the rats. And the rats, usually they give them a certain amount, the amount that a rat would need to be healthy. But they tried just giving them as much Purina dog chow as they'd want to eat. So an unlimited amount. And they found that the rats would eat just as much as they would need to not be hungry anymore, and they'd stop eating. And so they'd just eat a little bit. And then they thought, well, let's make it even tastier. So they threw some extra fat on the Purina dog chow to see if that would make the rats eat more. And it really didn't make that much of a difference. And then one of the researchers remembered that one time he was eating some Fruit Loops, and he shared some Fruit Loops cereal with a rat, and the rat just went crazy wild, loved the Fruit Loops. So he gave the rats Fruit Loops, and the rats went bananas. They just loved the Fruit Loops. They gave them unlimited amounts of Fruit Loops. And those rats, they would just eat and eat and eat, and they would eat past full to keep eating Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops, if you're coming to me today from the UK or maybe someplace else, and maybe you don't have Fruit Loops, it is a super high sugar cereal in the United States that have been marketed to kids. And each cereal, it's in a circle shape, And there are a variety of bright colors and flavors, like grape, lemon, lime, orange. Um, and kids just love Fruit Loops. Now, I remember when I was a kid, my mom wouldn't let us buy Fruit Loops. So I only had Fruit Loops if I went to a friend's house, because she said there was more nutrition if I ate the cardboard box that it was in. And so she wasn't gonna buy it for us. And I am so thankful for her. She didn't buy us that. She didn't buy us Lucky Charms. There was a lot of those high sugar cereals that she wasn't going to buy. And we would get it, though. We would still eat it when we'd go to a friend's house, then we'd be eating Lucky Charms and Fruit Loops and all those super sugary cereals. But I can imagine how those rats, and the rats, they became obese in like 3 weeks. It was like super fast, because those rats would just eat and not stop with the Fruit Loops. I remember a friend of mine had a little sister, and the sister had Down syndrome, and she was overweight. And she used to sit down with like the biggest bowl in the house of Fruit Loops. She loved Fruit Loops. It would bring her great joy to eat a ton of Fruit Loops. Anyway, I found that really interesting. And here they are doing all this research and discovering that it's helping people, not helping. People are unable to eat past their full sensors when they put the right amount of sugar in everything. And there's so much sugar in everything that it's making it harder for kids, because their biology already likes sweetness and even likes things sweeter than adults. But it's making it so kids grow up to want more sugar than they normally would, and to crave more sugar. They even showed with the rats that they tried giving them other things other than Fruit Loops. There was another researcher that needed some fat rats and remembered the Fruit Loops, how Fruit Loops had made rats fat, and tried other sugary things, and sent his assistant to the store to buy lots of sugary items, chocolate, all kinds of stuff that was very sugary, and put it out for the rats to eat. And the rats just went hog wild on it and ate and became obese really fast. So that way they could have a fat rat for doing other experiments on. And I've kind of felt like a fat rat myself. I'm like, oh my goodness. It's amazing what I'm learning from this book, of all the research they have put in to make food more addictable. So those were some of my biggest things that I saw. I do know my husband and I used to be a school teacher. I taught elementary school, 3rd grade and kindergarten. And my husband did 30 some years in the school industry. He was a school teacher of the little guys, and then he became he ended up his last few years, he was the webmaster for the school district. And they've been trying really hard at the school districts to for our lunches, for school lunches for kids, to have less sugar and less fat and less salt, and try to give kids healthier choices, so that way they don't that they can try to curb the obesity epidemic. But the problem is they're getting so much of the fat, sugar, salt at home. And before, they have 5 years of eating at home before they even reach school, that they didn't like the food. They were throwing a lot of their food away, and they weren't finishing all their food. And so it's been a battle for the school districts to find the right formulation so that the kids will actually eat the food, but to be sure to have as much fiber and nutrition as possible in the food. And they've been having a tough time trying to get that balance, but they've been working really hard on that. I'm going to go and go through some of what's in the comments. I'd like to hear some of your thoughts about chapter 1. And I'd also like to hear about any wins you've had this week. I would like to hear that too. Let's see here. Hey, I got Tony in the house. Yay. Hey, Tony. Tony says, I never liked Fruit Loops or Lucky Charms. Too much fake flavor. Wow, that is really great, Tony. That was actually good for you that they didn't find your bliss points. And then Tony also says, my book arrived from Amazon this afternoon, just in time for our book club. Yay! That's great, Tony. And Tony says, my win this week, I lost 2 pounds. I took my 7.5 shot this morning. All right, that's fantastic. Congratulations. That is a great win. And I'm glad the 7.5 milligrams of Mounjaro is working for you. I was on 7.5 for a long time, and it worked for me really well for quite a while. And Tony says, I thought the tongue discussion was very interesting. I know my in-laws only wanted sweet stuff as they grew older. Oh, that's interesting. So, they say a lot of times as you, if you're lucky enough to live old enough to retire, it's like you revert back to your childhood again. You start wanting to do more things, playing with friends and that kind of stuff. Kind of interesting that their sweet tooth got bigger as they got older too. How interesting is that? And Tony said, I forgot this is a holiday weekend, and that may be why we only have a couple on here today. Yeah, we don't have a lot of people here today, but it is for a lot of people in the United States, it's a 3-day holiday weekend if they work. Monday is Memorial Day, and it's a day that we honor veterans who died in wars. And so it's a day of reflection. It's a day that people can go to the cemetery and visit their loved ones. And it also comes at the end of May and at the beginning of summer. And a lot of people take advantage of having a 3-day weekend and get together with friends and family and barbecue and that kind of thing. And my grandson happened to be born at the end of May. So I'm going to a party today myself, and I'll be leaving here in a few minutes. But I do appreciate all of you who came on today and for doing this book club with us. This is the 3rd book that we've done. We always do just 1 chapter a week because we're a book club for busy people. So just 1 chapter a week, and we give it a deep dive. And right now we're doing Salt, Sugar, Fat by Michael Moss. We did, the first book club we did was Atomic Habits, which is my all-time favorite book. It has been so helpful for me on a healthy lifestyle journey. So if you get a chance, look, I have a playlist. And for Atomic Habits, we had, I don't know, like 17, it might have been 17 chapters. There was a lot of chapters. And so there was a video each week, so you can catch those on replay. And I talked the Atomic Habits you can use towards anything in your life. It could be to have a cleaner house. It could be, you could use Atomic Habits to help you declutter. You can use Atomic Habits to maybe want to exercise more, to get more exercise in. And I did it for healthy habits for losing weight. And so I would share that they could use it for other things. And this is how I would see that chapter for helping us with weight loss. I also had the second book club that we did was The Easy Way to Quit Emotional Eating by Alan Carr. And we also did a chapter each week of that book. And that was a very eye-opening book. And Barb, Health at Any Cost, she let me know that this book would be the perfect book after that one. And it really is an eye-opener for sure. Hey, we got a couple other people visiting us here. Just a sec. Let's see. We got Val in the house. Woo woo. Hey, Val. Did you have any wins this week? And Logan's in the house. Woo woo. And he says, what is your favorite sour gummy candy, Gina? You know, I'm really not into sour gummy candy anymore, Logan. So I don't think I have one, though I do like fiber gummies. I get some fiber gummies that I don't think are made with sugar, and they're 5 calories each, but they also have fiber in them. So I'll have sometimes 1 or 2 in the evening with a big glass of water, but that'd be the only gummy candy I really do, Logan. And he says, also, my aunt is at the hospital. She had pneumonia. Oh no, Logan. I will pray for your sweet aunt. That is really hard. And anyone else out there, any other prayer warriors, please pray for Logan's aunt who's in the hospital today. And Logan says, so you know how you told me to look up no rapid is the influence. It's the infant pen you have to dial up. No rapid is the influence. It's the infant pen you have to dial up. You know what, Logan? I think you have me confused with another YouTuber that you watch, because I do not know what the infant pen is and dialing. I do know if you take Ozempic, some people who have type 2 diabetes take Ozempic, and there's a dial on the Ozempic pen that you have to twist to get the proper amount of the medication in you. But when you do, I do Mounjaro, and Mounjaro, you just push the button one time and all the medicine goes in, and then that pen is done. Oh, okay. Logan says, oops, I meant insulin and Novo Rapid. Oh, okay. Because I was confused there. I have to say, I don't know a whole lot about insulin and how to inject insulin, because I haven't needed it yet on my type 2 diabetes journey. I know my dad has used insulin, and then once he got on Mounjaro, he didn't need insulin anymore because it's such a wonderful medication. It's taking care of his blood sugars where he doesn't need insulin anymore. But he was doing that for a while. But it must be another one of the YouTubers that you follow who have type 2 diabetes and give advice. So I'm not sure who that person was. Okay. Well, guys, next week, we're going to go over chapter 2 of Salt, Sugar, Fat. And chapter 2 is called How Do You Get People to Crave? Which would be really interesting too. So I look forward to seeing you guys. Hey, my husband, hopefully, hey, Anchor Moments RV, did you find ice? He is out and about searching for ice for me, because we're going to have to leave here in a few minutes to go to my grandson's birthday party. And we were in charge of bringing the stuff with ice in it. And Logan says, my favorite book is Anchor Habits, but I still have that book. Oh, you mean Atomic Habits. That is a really, really good book, Logan. I wish I read it when I was your age. Logan's a teenager. He's watched our show He comes a lot on our Mounjaro Monday lives and some of our book study things. And yes, Atomic Habits is wonderful. And I really wish I had read it as a teenager because I could have applied it in a lot of ways. I could have applied it for better study habits. I could have applied it for jobs that I've had and how to help my career. There's so many things you can apply Atomic Habits to, including weight loss. But yeah, that is a fantastic book. I absolutely love that book. Yay! And Jeff found ice. That's great. And my grandson turns 1 year old today. So we're super excited about that, Logan. Well, I'm going to need to head out. I will be here at the same time next week, 1 o'clock Arizona time, which is 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern, and 9 o'clock for our friends in the UK. Okay, everybody, hold on to your anchor moments and make it a great day. Bye-bye. Thanks, Logan.